Good morning. I am Cardinal Dr. Elizabeth Samantha Rothschild Judge. I can't stress enough how important it is to be dutiful in employment. A job is not to be taken lightly, whether you're serving food or pushing paperwork. Take, for instance, when I got kidnapped in Denver, Colorado. When I first noticed the activity around me, the strange things occurring, and the stalking behavior patterns, I reported it directly to the police. And the Denver Police Department, had a take on everything and pretty much had everything under control. Well, there were persons who were employed in the homeless network at the shelters who caused the problem to become escalated. How it happened, these staff members were abusing their privileges of employment, setting up scenarios and staging fronts to cause problems, and in the end, basically, it resulted in them being able to put me out of the shelter for no reason. I really had no offenses. I had not started any problems. Had they not done that, the police would have been able to completely absolve the situation without my being kidnapped. And they would have gotten to the bottom of the conspiracy to kidnap me. However, these persons who were staff members, pretty much arrogant in their positions, would take advantage of their positions and make some of the homeless residents do whatever they wanted them to do. I don't know if they were bored at work or were making some meager plays for power. Whatever the case, they were staging scenarios to cause interactions, negatively impacting interactions. Well, responding to these things, when I responded to these things, it was basically a play into their hands in order to wield some sort of authority and power to say they could put somebody out of somewhere, when really none of them even own their own house. So this happened at the first shelter I stayed at in Denver, Colorado, the Samaritan House on 48th Street, and then it happened at the downtown shelter until I was sleeping outside in a tent. They would not stop. The staff members were the problem. And every day center that I went to, from one place to the next, they were on their phones and their Facebooks with their jealousies and their arrogance of power, staging interactions, causing problems, so that they could ultimately act like they were imminent and could put, the power to put someone out of the shelter. Once I was put out of the shelter, then I became easily accessible and readily vulnerable to the activity. But had they been in their places and done their jobs according to their job's duties and not been so arrogant to say they could put somebody out or want me to see what sort of power they have in their positions, when it really doesn't matter. What matters to me in any place is that someone does their job most gracefully and respectfully for themselves. And had that not happened, the kidnapper would never have had access to me in the first place. So I do what I have to do to abide, to keep myself safe. And I did, try to make reason, but there's no making reason with persons who are predetermined from preconceived notions to act out in whatever way they have planned. And when people are ignorant, they don't know how to adjust to particular responses or behaviors. So if they have it on their mind, like they had it on their mind, they wanted to put me out of the shelter to prove to me that they have some sort of eminent domain at the shelter. all the while acting like they didn't know who I was. But if they didn't, why did they need to flex their power so much? Okay, so when they told me to leave and I had to go outside, well, I was like a sitting duck for the kidnappers. So they interfered with police operations by not doing their own jobs and by committing criminal activity, malfeasance, and other things on the job, which interrupted and interfered with the police operation to keep me safe, first and foremost, and to deter any criminal activity and resolve any conspiracies thereof. So it's important that each person does their job, because you don't know what's going on in the world. There are law enforcement agencies in place to keep us all safe, and they're on the job 24/7, no matter what's going on. It's around the clock, and whatever is going on, they're on top of it, especially when things are reported. And I had reported from the very beginning. So I would say it was the staff members' fault that I even got kidnapped in the first place, because Denver Police Department really kept me safe, helped me to feel safe. But what could they do when I'm sleeping outside in the tent and vulnerable? As well, the staff members were permitting the kidnapper, who I didn't know him, and other persons to come around and say that they knew me or they were there with me in their association. So when I was complaining that someone was bothering me, they were pretending like, oh, well, it's a lover's quarrel and I didn't even know him. Or, well, they're friends and I had no friends. I just arrived in the city, really. I felt that same thing beginning to happen here in Washington, D.C., but it's been a little different here. And there are not so many corrupt persons working in the homeless network as there were in Texas or in Denver, Colorado. Yet there are some here. So I want to make this statement that they make people unsafe when they are that way. Some people are running from havoc. Some people are staying inside, and as long as they got a place to stay inside, they can beat their drug habits. They can be okay with the meals that are served and don't feel like they have to go and do something criminal in order to get a meal. And when you have a staff member who wants to wield their authority for whatever it is, to show off, they put other people in danger. So, I can't say, oh, they shouldn't have this sort of job. I mean, if they're smart enough to have the job, that's cool, but it's about sticking to your job's duties and description and not overstepping your bounds and your employee privileges. Just wanted to put that out there. You all have a great day.